Well, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for visiting. Today we're going to continue our notes on Where's the Love Part 3. This is Mr. Rangel, and this is Mr. Rangel's American History class. So today we're going to continue with our Where's the Love notes. Again, we're talking about that time period between the French and Indian War and our Declaration of Independence. Little events that went from taking us from loving England to declaring independence. 13 years passed, and we went from loving England to wanting to be separated from England. And so little events took place that led us to that point, and we are going to continue today. We just got done talking about the Boston Tea Party, which was caused because one man, Governor Hutchinson, said that the ship that carried all the tea from England had to stay in port, when if he would have sent it back, we never would have got this far. The Boston Tea Party never would have happened, and our future may have been a little bit different. Instead, he says the ship stays. We have the Boston Tea Party, and now England is mad because we destroyed a lot of England's valuable property. So let's continue. We're going to go into Where's the Love Part 3. Now, England decides to punish Boston for what they did at the Boston Tea Party. And they send over a set of laws designed to force us to do something. They call them the Coercive Acts. The word coercive, the word coerce, is found in there, and that means what? It means to force someone to do something. England had a purpose with passing these Coercive Acts. Their goal was to force the people in Boston to pay back the tea that they destroyed at the Boston Tea Party. They said, as soon as you pay that tea, we are going to take away these laws and we'll go back to life as usual. So let's take a look at these Coercive Acts. The first one was the Boston Port Act. This was a law that closed off the port of Boston, no ships in, no ships out, and this really hurt the economy of Boston because almost everybody in the town of Boston had a job that was related to the ships coming in and out of port. So when you stop that, you basically, in effect, put everybody out of work. So this really hurt the economy of Boston. They wanted to make us suffer for what we did with the Boston Tea Party. That was one. The second one was called the Administration of Justice Act. This protected redcoat soldiers from getting an unfair trial in Boston. So if a soldier, for some reason, gets arrested, he can have his trial in some other town where he has a better chance of getting a fair trial. In Boston, you're guilty. You got a red coat on, you're guilty because it was so tense in that town. The Massachusetts Government Act, the third law of that set of laws, gave more power to the governor, and in fact, it got rid of the current governor, Hutchinson. Governor Hutchinson was asked to go back to England, and we never heard of him. We never heard from him again. But the new governor, his name was Thomas Gage. Thomas Gage was a general in the British Army, and he was there, and he was taking over for Hutchinson, and plus he had more power. So now people in Boston have a governor who is a military general with a lot of power. So things are even tougher now for the people in Massachusetts. And finally you have the Quartering Act, which the colonists didn't like too much because they were forced to allow redcoat soldiers to live in their house. Because when after the Boston Tea Party, not only did England send over these 4 laws, they sent over like 2,000 British soldiers. So you look out into the streets of Boston and you see soldiers everywhere. So that only led to make things even worse. So the next thing that happened was that the colonists gave it a new name. The colonists didn't like the Coercive Acts. They gave it another name. So on the test, I'm going to ask you, what were the 2 names for the laws that England sent over to punish Boston? One, you're going to be the Coercive Acts. The other one is going to be the Intolerable Acts. Again, intolerable means you can't take it anymore. Some of you have little brothers and sisters who are intolerable. Some of you are the little brothers and sisters who are intolerable. Again, this caused things to happen in the colonies. What happened was, once the other colonies found out about the Coercive Acts and how England had just come in and basically shut down the town of Boston, they started thinking, well, hey, if they can do it to Boston, they can do it to us too. If they can come down and punish Boston like some spoiled kid, they can do the same thing to us. We've got to be able to figure this out. So what they did, they decided to call a meeting. Call a meeting of representatives from each of the colonies to find out what's happening in Boston. What's happening in Boston? And they called this meeting the First Continental Congress. Now, this First Continental Congress led to the Second Continental Congress, which led to the Declaration of Independence. Now, when you think about it, you go back to when Governor Hutchinson said the ship stays. That led to the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party led to the Coercive Acts. The Coercive Acts led to the First Continental Congress, which eventually leads to our Declaration of Independence. So you start thinking about it, had Governor Hutchinson said the ship can go back, he might have been, fired. He might have been, England might have, thought less of him, but we never would have had the Boston Tea Party, we never would have had the Coercive Acts, we never would have had our First Continental Congress, and we never would have had our Declaration of Independence at that time. So one man's decision, Governor Hutchinson, to make the ship stay is so important. It led us to our independence, whether he wanted to or not, whether he understood, which I doubt that he did, what was going on. So that is part 3. We're going to go into part 4 pretty soon. So stay tuned, come on back, and I'll see you later. All right, bye-bye.